Hello everybody and welcome back. It's Michael from embodythestate.com, and this video is going to be a very interesting one, and I know it's going to benefit a lot of you guys. And this is going to be about manifesting an SP back, or SP in general, right? But specifically for getting someone back, but which can be applied to anyone. And this video is something I wanted to record actually the other day, but something in me told me just wait, right? I was also at the same day thinking about a client of mine, and it's so funny because hours afterwards, which I told them about as well, they messaged me a success story. And once I got that success story, it made sense to then record the video and talk a little bit about it. And of course I got the permission, so I'm gonna just talk about what I can and leave the private stuff behind. But you know, if you're watching this, you know who you are, and congratulations. I already spoke with you about it, but congratulations, and I wish you all the best, right? I get so proud and happy for you guys when you finally see just how easy it is. And something that they said I'm going to repeat later in this video, which will give you guys a perspective as to how easy this can be and how it's yourselves making it hard, right? Because everything is existing already, it's created, right? And it's just your lack of awareness of it and continued persistence in that new assumption that is what makes it not kind of reflect to you, right? You guys do well for a little bit, and then you see no changes, or you start doubting yourself. Am I doing it right? These kind of things, and this all is something we're going to be covering. Okay, so I'm excited for this video, and I hope you guys are too. So we're gonna dive into it. If you guys need anything, of course, embodythestate.com. That's all I'm gonna say about that, and you already know where to get me. So let's dive into it. Now, when it comes to manifesting an SP back, right? A lot of people make the mistake of thinking that it's about trying to force someone to do something. They think it's about changing the reflection. In other words, the mirror. It's when Neville said, trying to change the reflection in the mirror. He pretty much goes into how it's pointless, right? Like trying to change your 3D by force is just as dumb pretty much as hitting the mirror because you don't like the reflection, right? It's yourself and how you view things that has to be changed. It's how you view your person. But remember, it's about you. You're the one that's changing, right? So if I was to manifest an SP back, right, I have to change how I feel about myself in relation to them. I have to claim what I already am, what I already know is created, and I have to continue to return to that, right? Because if I claim I'm this person, and then I spend the next 50 minutes, the next 3 hours in lack, looking for results, doubting myself, I'm being aware and I'm still manifesting, but I'm being aware of the bad and I'm manifesting against myself. It's up to us to understand that we can plant seeds throughout the day and let them go, and we water them through returning to the awareness that we already are that, okay? And this is something that my client did, right? And the second message that they sent me after the success story, it really, like, they even saw it for themselves that they couldn't believe how easy it was, right? And a lot of people overcomplicate it, right? You see all these different techniques and things like this, and you think it's the technique that gives it power. You think it's the affirmations, or you think it's the visual. It's nothing to do with that, right? It helps, of course, right? Of course, when you see what you want and you can identify and accept that it's already yours, and of course the side effect is the feelings that come with that, right? Yeah, that's fine, right? But that's how it should be. It's when you, for example, if I assume I have, I don't know, let's just say a specific vehicle that I want, right? I can be aware of it and I can accept that I already have it. And because I've accepted I have it already, my mind will then start seeing myself with it, right? Without me even trying. And on top of that, I'm feeling what it would feel like if this was actually true. So all that happens in a matter of a second, right? And it doesn't have to take forever. It's just a simple acceptance of what already is. And that's the mistake a lot of people make when they're manifesting an SP, right? So many people ask me, viewers, clients, you name it, I get it all the time. What's the best technique? What's the best method, right? And I always tell them there's no such thing as the best method, right? All methods are to get you into a state, in other words, an awareness, a state of consciousness. And if you are not if you're not allowing yourself to enter a state, and instead you're just blindly doing things, you're just saying, for example, I'm in a happy, loving relationship, blah, 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 right? And you don't believe that it's true, you don't feel it's true, you don't accept its reality, you don't relate to it in any way, and instead you're just saying it to say it. Well, guess what's gonna happen, right? You haven't changed at all. You're just saying things, and it's as simple as assuming, it's as simple as claiming that you already are something, right? And when you realize that you already are something, and you accept that without question because you know that all the kingdom of heaven is within you, right? All realities exist. And the versions of yourself with the thing that you want, the person you want, is existing as well. And to just remember that this is who you are already is going to unleash or unlock, I call it, certain feelings, right? The feelings are a passive side effect. It's not something that you should be forcing or chasing. So when I want to manifest an SP, I have to go from I'm aware of being single, I'm aware that I am manifesting an SP, but from that moment that I'm aware of it, I just assume that that's who I am, right? Remember, it's my I am that reflects. It's whatever I say I am. And when I have conviction of that and I don't fight it and I don't relate to what my eyes are showing me, in other words, the lack, and I relate more to what I do and see and hear, that is what I do to create the habit, which then makes it easier for myself to mental diet. And for me personally, right, I don't want you guys thinking that like if you can't do it like this, that you're doing it wrong. But understand that for me personally, on the big goals that are important to me, I monitor my thoughts around the subject that I'm interested in manifesting all damn day. Like from as soon as I'm awake to when I go to sleep, I'm aware of my thoughts. I'm catching my thoughts all the time. And it's not catching in the sense of trying to flip them, but if I see a negative or I start seeing myself identify with lack, I become the observer. I start observing as the creator, as God, right? If I was God, which I am, I'm a human aspect. I'm an aspect of God having a human experience. There we go. And if I know this and I trust this and I see that doubt or I see the lack and it's bothering me, instantly my mind goes, how would God look at this, right? Like if I'm actually God, or even to make it easier, if God entered my body, so let's say this almighty thing, if it might be easier for you to accept, this almighty being enters my body and my mind and says, okay, I'm going to look at everything through your lens, right? How would I feel about that same problem, about the lack that I'm seeing, right? Do you think God would feel that way, right? Do you think God would feel upset or bothered or feel lack or doubt, worried that they're not going to get it? No, right? God understands in this reality, there is a time delay for our benefit, right? And we just have to continue to accept who we already are. And the more we continue to return to the acceptance of what already is, it becomes a habit. When it becomes the habit, it becomes who we are. And remember, our 3D is a reflection of who we are being now, right? So when you make it a habit where you're dominantly something now, that's when you're going to start seeing movement and it reflect, right? And sometimes you might even notice as you're doing this, the thing will come before you can even expect it, right? Before you're even in Sabbath. That's why I tell people, don't focus on Sabbath, which by the way, I'll make a video talking about it because some people have asked me to talk about Sabbath as well, but I'll get into that in later videos. Just understand, it's about what you say you are. It's about who you say you are, right? Because at any point of the day, when I think of my SP, it's up to me to decide whether I assume I have them or I'm trying to get them, right? Two different perspectives, two different state of consciousness, right? But one is going to manifest results faster than the other. Because if I'm continuing to return to being that, in other words, I just simply remember and I just accept it. And that alone is me planting the seed. I don't question it. I don't doubt it. I don't condition it. I simply accept that it's already who I am. And I know in the back of my head that my 3D has to conform. It has to reflect. It's just a little delay while I do the work. And I call it work, but I don't really, it doesn't feel like work. It's more fun. It's just, think about it. It's like you're walking, let's say you walk to your car or you walk anywhere, right? And your SP pops in your mind or your goal, whatever it is. And in that moment, you can just simply accept that you are already that person that has it. You can assume that you already have it, that this is your reality. And that can take a second, 2 seconds. It doesn't have to be forever, right? And however long that lasts, that's great. But you got to remember, you can do that, and then that's called planting the seed, and you move on. You don't have to hold anything. You don't have to fight to force these feelings. You don't have to worry, right? It's all about accepting who you already are. So when you're manifesting a person, you want to understand it's about changing how you view your reality, how you view yourself, what you expect and assume of yourself, right? If you know that what you are doing is returning to a state of consciousness over and over again because you're building that habit, right? As Neville says in chapter 22 of The Power of Awareness, right? Sorry about that. He discusses that it's not about the length of time that you hold this state, right? Because the holding still implies effort. You know, you're supposed to be a straight line. It's not supposed to be like this crazy line of effort. It's about returning. It's how frequently, he says, you return to the state of the wish fulfilled. So if I am frequently returning to the state of the wish fulfilled, so for me personally, if I'm thinking about my SP for 12 hours, right? Like I mentioned in the last video, I don't have to spend 12 hours fulfilled. It's just in those 12 hours, I find pockets, right? It's like I'm finding pockets in the sky that I just like reach and bring them down to me, right? I just fulfill myself. I give things to myself, right? So I have the thought up here, in other words, that cross my mind during the 12 hours, and that's mental diet, right? I catch my awareness and I accept that I already am it. I don't force anything. I don't try to fight anything. I don't look to force a feeling. The feeling comes naturally because I accept who I already am. So in that moment, in that present moment, when I've accepted this, and I don't doubt it, I don't condition, and I don't use logic, right? I just know that it's done in who I am. And in the back of my head, I know it's going to reflect. And because I know it's going to reflect, it allows me to unlock what it would feel like if I was this person, right? And if you can't feel anything, it's okay. Remember, indifference is a feeling in itself. And if you are indifferent, right, which is great, which is fine, it's up to you to then decide, is this a problem or no? Because I have so many clients come to me and they say, oh, but I can't feel feelings, which, I mean, you can, everyone can, right? It's just, most people try to like force it and they think it's supposed to be this grand thing. But no, it's just when you practice accepting who you are, you're either gonna feel something or you're gonna be indifferent. But it's the ones who say they can't feel, they identify that as a problem, and that is their reality, right? Because in my reality, if I'm indifferent about something, it doesn't mean, like, my brain doesn't go, oh no, I didn't feel it, therefore it's not working, right? It doesn't work like that. So if I'm ever indifferent, and this is for you out there who sometimes do feel indifferent and don't feel feelings, right? Understand, it's your state of consciousness that matters. Can you still accept that you are this person? You know, can you truly say that with conviction and not doubt it because you understand that creation is finished? And if so, then you understand there is nothing to fear or worry. There is nothing to be worried about. So if that's the case and you're feeling indifferent about anything, I want you to remember, what you do afterwards is very important. Are you going to view that indifference, in other words, the lack of feeling, as a negative? Or can you say, hey, this is how I'd feel if this was normal. Like if I had them for like months and months, I'm not going to be jumping for joy 24/7. I'm just going to be like, yeah, that's my boyfriend or that's my girlfriend, right? And that's completely fine. So remember, indifference is not a bad thing, especially towards the negative things, right? If you can practice being indifferent towards the notice of the lack, you know, the lack of text messages, you know, them not conforming. If you can be indifferent to that and stick true to your new identity and return to that new state of consciousness of this is already who I am, then that is how you start shaping the world around you, because it's the habit of returning to the state, as Neville Goddard says in The Power of Awareness, that makes it a habit. And when it becomes a habit, it becomes who you are naturally. It becomes your dwelling state. And when you are something, you will reflect it, right? That's why it's up to you to realize and remember that everything is already finished. Creation is done. You're not sitting there hoping for things to change. It has already changed. It's your lack of awareness of it having already been changed that is why you continue this journey of manifesting over and over and over again, right? It's why so many people get stuck in this habit of trying to manifest, of these processes and techniques and just spamming things without ever bother changing their identity, right? And that's why I tell people, focus on your state of consciousness. Just practice, right? Practice for a whole 7 days. Every time you think of your desire, go straight to the wish fulfilled, right? What do you think it would feel like if your person was yours, right? What do you think it would feel like if right now you were able to look at all the problems that you're facing in your present reality, but do it from the consciousness of having received all the solutions, right? So to give you an example, let's say you're trying to win the lottery, right? And you have all these money problems, all this debt piling up, right? And then you win the lottery. Let's say you win 100 million. How would you then look at your present problems and the present things that bother you from the brain and the eyes and the lens of the version of you that won that 100 million, right? Would you, if you could step into that brain, that person, that state, and then look backwards, right? At your present reality, how would that version look at the present reality, knowing that they got what they wanted, right? Would they look back at all the things bothering you and be like, oh no, this sucks, this is scary? Or would they say, whew, I can't believe I actually manifested it. Like, that's amazing. Like, would you not be relieved, right? And that's what awareness is. You're being aware of the solution. Same thing goes with SPs. Instead of looking at your SP and holding on to these stories, they don't text me, we always fight, this or that, right? That's an awareness in itself. That's a state in itself, right? You can choose to be in a state of, we're already together. We got back together, whether it was today, yesterday, a week ago, a month ago, it doesn't matter. But what are you saying about yourself? What are you proclaiming about yourself? Are you stating that you already have the solutions? And if so, are you feeling the reality of it, right? Are you identifying with it? How would you feel if this was your truth? And that is what you're supposed to do when you manifest an SP, and only stick to that story. You're changing how you view your person, right? I don't want you fulfilling yourself and then spending the rest of the day on autopilot looking at your person's social media, hoping that they change, looking for proof that, you know, things are working, or that they're not out on dates having fun or whatever, right? Because that implies lack. You would not be doing this if they were yours, right? So remember, it's about changing how you feel about yourself, how you view your life, and how you view your person in relation to you. When you think about them, can you accept the fact that they're already yours? And if so, and you can do that just like I do, it takes just a second, right? Then drop the seed and let it grow, right? And you want to come back to water it with your awareness. So the next time you're thinking of your person, go back to that identity of, it's already who I am. It is already finished. And the back of your brain knows the 3D has to conform, but you're doing the inner work, right? And remember, I say the word work loosely because it's not really work. It's just making an assumption. It's making a decision. And when you make that decision, that's when your whole world will change, okay? So the one thing I want to share with my client, I'll read this text here. I'm going to leave out the name, but this is so important, and it's the response after to my message that really is important, okay? So it says, Michael, instead of their name, I'll just say SP. So Michael, SP and I are officially back together. I'm happier than I've ever been. I don't know how to ever thank you for all of your guidance. He's the best, she capitalized best. He's the best version of himself now. He looks at me with so much love. He tells me he's so in love with me and wants us to move in together. He's talking about having kids and getting married. I just can't believe I was so worried or sad. Also, there was never another woman. It was a lie. He told me he missed me so much during our breakup, and he was always longing for me. I'm so thankful to have found you. You're the best. And then I sent them a message. And by the way, she sent a picture of them together. They look very cute and happy, by the way. And I'm really happy for you. And her response as well, she said, and this is the part that I really wanted to touch on. So she said, I am so amazed by the results. Looking back, and here's the important part, I didn't have to make it so hard. I guess I was just scared. But we were separated for a year. Sorry about that, for a year, and it didn't have to take that long. It's crazy because it feels like we never separated, okay? Our relationship is way better than it was before, and that's exactly how I feel. There's nothing I ever have to worry about again, ever, in all capitals, right? I went from severe doubt and anxiety to knowing, guys, he would come back. I didn't know how, but I'm so happy. And yes, and I'll cut the rest off, but she gave me permission to use my story, and she just says, I can't believe how natural it feels to be back with him. Like, that's, wow, that's so beautiful. That is, I love seeing stories like that. I genuinely love seeing stories like that, because it shows me that, you know, people are able to comprehend the way I'm teaching, right? Because even for me, I'm always evolving, right? I'm always changing the way I teach. You know, I'm always seeing how different people interpret different things. And even though I give the same information, I do it in different ways for everyone. But everyone that I work with gets the same information. And, you know, all they have to do is apply it. Like, I don't gatekeep any information. I tell people all the time, technically, our first phone call is always going to be all you need, right? And it's up to you to apply it, right? I'm not, you know, trying to get you guys to be like a 20 repeat call customer, nothing like that. The first call is all you need, and I tell it to everyone. But even for my viewers, you don't have to, I tell you guys all the time, you don't need to spend money to manifest. It's just a luxury if you want to save time and stuff. But study the law, right? Don't be afraid to read a book, you know, a certain amount of time per day, because studying the law helps you get the reminders in your head. How do you think I became who I became, right? How do you think I'm sitting here in front of a camera teaching? It's not because I didn't read a book. It's because I did nothing but read books. I didn't go to YouTube. I didn't, you know, go to Twitter or other stuff. It's the books that matter. And even when I started, like Twitter, law of assumption stuff wasn't even a thing, you know, especially on YouTube and stuff. It wasn't big or anything. And I was lucky because I didn't have all these distractions you guys have, and I just stuck to source material. And that's why I preach you guys, stick to source material, right? Because source material will not only teach you how the law actually works, right? It's going to show you that like a lot of information that you will see on the internet, is not coming from people that studied the material, right? It's more opinion based. It's either they're learning off someone that maybe didn't study the material, but they got some results here and there. It's what they believe to be real, to be true, right? And that's okay. But I tell you guys, stick to source material, because that's what I teach, right? And when you stick to the sources, you will know what I know. And when you know what I know, it's impossible to feel the way that you guys feel when you're feeling negative about your desire. You know, and just like with my client, it's so beautiful that she got what she wanted, right? She's got the best version of herself, she said, right? Isn't that beautiful? And she gets to enjoy life. She said she can't believe that it was that easy, that, you know, that she made it hard. And that's the thing I wanted to share with you guys. She was making it hard on herself because she wasn't being consistent and true to her inner self. And I tell you guys all the time, focus on your inner world, what you do in here, right? What you feel about yourself. Because remember, it's about who you believe you are. It's about what you are. It's not about what you want. You can want your SP all day, 24/7. It doesn't guarantee they're going to come back. But you know what will? Is returning to the assumption that they are already yours. It's about returning to the naturalness. It's about just making the assumption, this is who I am. I have it already. We are together. I am focusing on the solution. That acceptance will then unlock everything you need. But it's up to you to continue to return to that new identity. You have to decide, hey, guess what? Even though I see lack everywhere here, I don't have to accept it, because I know my 3D changes based on what I feel and believe of myself. And if I'm making the habit of returning to who I am, the new me, right? The one that's already existing, and I'm more focused on being that person, my whole world has to follow, right? The 3D has to change. But it's up to you to look at your 3D and look around, right? And if you see lack, you see a barren wasteland, who is stopping you from still feeling loved? Who is stopping you from feeling wealthy? Who is stopping you from feeling whatever you think it would feel like if you were actually in the reality that you had your desires, okay? And you got to realize the answer is you. It's only you. Only you can stop yourself, and only you can save yourself. There is nobody else that's going to save you but you. And that's the thing that she learned. She spent some time getting back and forth results, hot and cold, right? And that's because she wasn't fully committed to the new story and the new identity. But when she began focusing on her state and trusting in the inner world, and she said she knew that it was going to reflect. And that's what I tell you guys for my first couple manifestations on my journey many years ago, right? Even though I knew that I didn't have lack, I knew that I had lack in my reality. I knew that what I was feeling inside had to be reflected. And it was knowing that it has to be reflected is what kept me feeling relieved and fulfilled every time I thought of the desire, right? It was allowing me to accept that I already am the one inside, in me, right? Who has the things that I wanted. And in a matter of days, my biggest goals became reflected. You know, they came out of me. I projected them, right? They became visible in my reality, right? Because manifestation is just seeing what's already there. So if you're just seeing what's already there, does it not make sense to then accept that you already are that person? Because you're doing that on the inside. You're saying that this is who I am. And remember, it's your I am that matters. Whatever you say you are is going to be your reality. And whatever you say you are with conviction, especially over and over again, and you're not contradicting it, is going to be your reflection sooner than later. It's going to be your reality sooner than later, okay, guys? So I want you guys to really remember that it's not about trying to force results or to change your 3D and doing a bunch of techniques and hoping that the 3D reflects. It's not about that. It's about understanding that it's already finished. That thing I want is already mine. How would it feel if I truly accepted this without any logic, without any how do you call it, conditioning, without, oh, how am I going to get the money for that car? How am I going to get the money for the rent? How am I going to get this or that or so on and so on, right? It's not about that. It's about understanding it's already finished. And whatever you say you are with conviction and continue to do that and return to that, and you don't contradict it as often as you can, that's going to be your future reality. So you got to start asking yourself, do I want my results sooner than later? And if the answer is yes, then ask yourself, why am I not choosing the wish fulfilled more than fear? Because the option is within you. There's nobody forcing you. No one has a gun to your head, right? No one's telling you, you have to feel this way. You have to look at lack and feel bad. It's because you're looking at life from a limited lens. It's because you're looking at your problems from the lens of being a human. But God doesn't look at those problems and feel the way you feel, right? The Creator has no predator. There's nothing that can scare them. And they understand that their world is their creation. And if you know you can get whatever you want, wouldn't you feel relief about all the things bothering you today? That's what I want you guys to think about, okay? And just remember that this is a journey. You're supposed to enjoy it. You're here to learn. Earth is your playground. It's your training ground to learn how to be God. And remember, you guys were already the ones that have the things you want. It's your lack of acceptance of having it that's why you haven't seen it. And that's why Neville tells people, when someone asks him, how long does it take to manifest my desire? And he said it's directly proportionate to how natural it is to your assumption, right? Like for you to accept that you have it. And that's why he preaches in the power of awareness to return to the awareness of having something throughout the day, right? If that's natural to you, right? If you only think about your desire once or twice a day, that's fine. Just do your best to not contradict yourself after you fulfill yourself and you accept that's who you are those couple times, okay? Because remember, even I've had things manifest only thinking about them once or twice, and it didn't take more than 10 days, okay? So I'm not saying that if it's taking you more than 10 days or a week or 3 days, you're doing something wrong. Everyone has their own level of knowledge. Everyone has their own level of experience. You are on your journey. Do not compare yourself to me. Do not compare yourself to the next guy or this person or that coach or so on and so on, okay? Just remember, even Neville sometimes took months to get things. So don't be mad that things don't happen in a week or 2 days or whatever, okay? We're all here to learn. I'm always learning. No matter, even though you guys look at me like I'm some genius, and I do have a lot of knowledge. I know this for a fact, and I have full confidence in how I teach. There's no question that I can really be stumped on. I truly feel that because I'm yet to have a question that I truly can't answer. And it's not because I'm special or I'm some, I'm better than everyone. It's just I put in the work. I've done the trial and error. I've read the books over. I read the same books till the day I die. Like, I read daily. And that goes to show, if I'm reading daily, why aren't you guys studying, right? So if you guys want your results quicker, please make the habit of returning to the awareness of having the solutions to your problems. Take your awareness off the problems, the lack of SP texting, the stories of how, oh, but we fought. Oh, I said this. Oh, he said he would never go out with me again, or she would never go out with me again. Oh, she's dating a third party. Who gives a crap? Focus on the end result and focus on who you are, because there's a version of you, many versions, by the way, many realities where you guys are already together. And if you don't accept that and instead you're focused on the problems, you're going to keep seeing the problems because that's what you're constantly aware of. But if you keep being the solution, you keep accepting that you already are it, and just you proclaiming that is enough, and you trust that it's going to reflect because it's who you are now, and everything is happening now all at once, and that's why you can relate to it, then it has to reflect that is law. That is what Neville teaches. That is what all the greats teach, okay? So I want you guys to really understand that point and take home what my clients said, that it didn't have to be that hard, and it doesn't have to be hard for you guys, right? It's just about understanding that what you want is already there. It's already yours. You just can't see it because you dominantly believe that you don't have it. Your job is to accept that you have something, that you already are that person. It's not about being delusional in the 3D. It's about accepting that you already are it, and that all those other realities are existing within you. And if they're existing within you and you're returning to that, you're selecting that door to walk through, that option, right? You're locking in that option over and over again. Guess what? You're building the habit. And when you build a habit, it's who you are. And when when you change who you are, guess what happens to your 3D reality? Your 3D has to reflect it. There's no other law. So just remember that, guys, okay? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you made it this far, hit thumbs up if this video inspired you or helped you in any way. And thank you guys so much for all the support. I truly appreciate all the lovely comments and all the DMs I get from you guys. And I just want to say thank you so much for this wonderful community that you guys are helping me build. So I look forward to making the next video. I hope you guys took something from this, and I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys soon, okay?